and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM. I'm excited because this is the first week that I think the games actually matter. And what I mean by that is I talked about, week 1, 3-0, great, cool. Beating TL, awesome. Did that game really matter that much? Yes and no. Having a 3-0 over Team Liquid in the regular season, having that guaranteed tiebreaker, important, like it. I'll explain, why this week is important in regards to tiebreakers here at the end once I've gone through everything with everybody. And then week 2, I thought, sure, those losses, not great. I'll be honest. Like, we talked about it. You guys heard about it. I was, not particularly happy about it on Monday. But for today, these games, realistically, outside of the first one, matter exponentially for the tiebreaker scenarios. One in particular, which probably is not the one you're thinking of. So if you've already done the math, if the first game doesn't matter, and one does, but it's not the one you're thinking of, then I think you know who it is. Anyways. Yeah. Reminder, go join the giveaway. Go get yourself a freaking TSM jersey, fam. It's easy. Just go to the Twitter, the TGH Twitter at TGH Esports. You'll be able to find our Gleam.io, I believe it is, giveaway. You'll be able to enter. Getting into that is super easy. Get as many entries as you can. We still have it going for the next 13, 14 days, so 2 weeks essentially. So definitely go get in there. Get yourself some freaking chances to get a TSM jersey. That's all I want to do. And Aaron, if you are listening to this, my friend, as much as, I don't want to give you a 100 Thieves jersey, I guess if I have to, I have to. So, yeah. Let's get right into it, though. We have, as I said, 3 important games, starting with the Immortals series. So, Immortals started off, everybody's like, oh my god, like, is this team actually good? What's going on? Why are they playing so well? They win their first games. They're 3-0. And everybody's like, "Oh my god. Okay, this is it. Immortals are finally figuring it out." And they were 10-11. And even myself, I was like, "Okay, like maybe this team is legit. Maybe they're making their way up here." And then they go and they drop 3 in a row. And now I'm scared a little bit because this team, are they that team? Are they the 2019 us where they're great one week, terrible the next, great one week, terrible the next? Because if that's the case, then this is the next week. This is when they should be good. So we definitely want to make sure that we are prepared for this team. And it's why I believe that all 3 of these games are going to be a lot tougher than we think they are, because like, when you think about it, if Immortals are going to go on another 3-0 just rampage where they found something that nobody else has, it's going to start with us because it's game 1. So we got to keep that in the back of our mind when we're talking about this. As a quick update, I want to continue to give the standings updates because everybody, we know our summer record, whatever, like the summer record does not matter outside of the fact that it's adding to the already, known spring record, right? That's the only thing that it's doing. So right now, Cloud9, 17-7, they are in first place. They are 4-2 this summer. 100 Thieves are charging forward. They're 16-8, 5-1 in the summer. That's actually false. I apologize. I forgot. TSM still hold the 2-1 record over 100 Thieves, so we are actually second place right now, according to tiebreakers. But we are also 16-8 and 4-2. Team Liquid is sitting in 4th, a game behind us and 100 Thieves at 15-9. They're 3-3. Dignitas right behind them, so 2 games behind us. 14-10, 3-3 record on the summer split. Evil Geniuses started to come back. They had a 2-1 weekend. They're now 500, 12-12, 4 games back of us. Immortals 6 games back at 10-14. They're 3-3, sitting in 7th by themselves. 8th is FlyQuest at 9-15, holding that last playoff spot. They've also looked a lot better. They're 3-3. And then CLG and Golden Guardians are the only teams not in the playoffs currently. They are 6-18 and 5-19 respectively. 1-5 for Counterlogic Gaming and 2-4 for Golden Guardians. They are 1 win away from already tying their spring split, which shows that they're a much more legitimate team than they were before, and they can still make a run to the playoffs, which I think would be quite the story. But anyway, so that's the standings right now. Again, we are in sole possession of second place. I know that everything may show you, oh, they're tied with 100 Thieves. If the season ended today, we do have the tiebreaker as we are 2-1 over them. Thus, we would be the second seeded team going into playoffs. And I do want to point out too, by the way, guys, like this 100 Thieves team is good. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Like this is the team that's going to challenge TSM, TL, and Cloud9 for that world's spot. Everybody else, I kind of have already discounted. Maybe that's wrong of me. Maybe Dignitas or EG, doubtfully Immortals, but maybe those two teams make a run. But right now, like, this is why I was like, hey, we want C9 to win this. This is why we want to support them at MSI, because had they won MSI, not saying they could have, well, they probably could have, but had they won MSI, then all 4 of the top teams, including 100 Thieves, would be in the playoffs or would be able to make it to Worlds. So it would matter a lot less. So, you know, we'll start working out playoff scenarios here in a couple weeks and whatnot, because I do really want to emphasize how important it is that we get that first or second seed, giving us that bye week, because it is going to be supremely important. Like, I cannot describe it enough to you all that we really want to have that advantage. So every game, like, seriously matters from here on out, and it will continue to matter for a long time. So yeah, going into this, we gotta jump into the IMT games. So the 3 keys of the game here for IMT, which we do need a win in, but as I said, I'll describe why we could lose this one and be okay. The first thing is we need to draft a heavy engage and assassin type comp, especially against Insanity and Xerxes. That's where they are less. I don't know. They're not able to get their leads. They're not able to play the game that they like to play it, which is a little bit more slow, a little bit more steady. And this sort of fast-paced, engage style comp is what's going to give us advantages against them. Specifically, champions like Xin Zhao, LeBlanc. God, if we just played Akali, different champions like that. Specifically that are in the meta right now. Tristana is obviously good too. Nocturne probably would be good against them as well. There's just a lot, and being able to punish the mid jungle duo specifically, because Insanity, similarly to a couple other people in this league, PoE mostly sometimes, don't play as many assassin type champions. So. And I think we saw last week LeBlanc is back. She's in her own. So she is going to be a very important pick over these next couple weeks as things develop until we get to patch 11.13, which I believe is the patch or two before the Worlds patch. So things are going to change drastically, but we have to adapt now. We have to start thinking about the now. So with Assassins in and whatnot, then we have to take advantage of those. Really pick off Insanity and Xerxes. I think it's gonna be paramount, and having a good mid jungle synergy is gonna be important. So for TSM, that's a key to victory. Number 1. Number 2 is we should be banning 80 carries specifically, and they probably will as well. And it's important because right now Ryze has not looked very good on Varus or something that's not super meta. And so for TSM, this is a priority in my opinion, because we've already seen that we can just pull out the Senna Tom Kench and not worry about it, right? We can pull out the Varus more than likely and be okay. I think Lost is just way better than Rise or Raze. I think it's Raze. Yeah, sorry, Raze. So I don't know why I'm saying Rise. Raze. And it's clear that, he's just not as comfortable on some of these less super meta, AD carries. Like Varus is in the meta, but not as much as Kai'Sa or Tristana or something like that. Again, like this team has huge weaknesses, and that's one of them. Put him on something like the Varus, put him on something that's a lot more stationary, that's not able to move around as easily, that's not as mobile. And I think an early priority on AD carry is smart, because I don't think it's gonna matter what we pick. If we want to first pick an AD carry, it's safe no matter what, because either we're taking something away from Raze, or we are getting ourselves priority on the better AD carry, and there's not going to be much that they can do to counter that. So I would really like to see us in the draft, prioritize AD carry and ban as many AD carries as possible, to push out some of the options for IMT. And when I say as possible, I'm not saying like we spend all 3 bans, but I'm saying watch their bans, learn from them, make some choices on which champions we'd like to take away from Raze, and I think that we'll be very happy about that. Last thing is just play for objectives and look for IMT to just give it away. Like, seriously, when looking back on their games, there are like no fights around Drake or really even around Rift Herald or anything like that. Like, they are very quick to just pull off and give things if you have priority on it. And I really think that that's something that TSM should take advantage of. We are much more aggressive to a fault at trying to get objectives, mostly because we believe in Spica, and Spica hasn't really had to do a steal yet this year, which is kind of funny. I haven't really thought about that. I'm talking about this split. Obviously, he did in spring and playoffs, but I digress. The point is there's a very clear way for beating IMT. They're a slower team. They are not overly proactive as a whole, as you can see. I mean, the first 2 keys, take away the mobility of Raze to be able to jump on him, and take Assassins and Heavy Engage to jump on Insanity and Xerxes. Those are just, that's a part of it. And it's because they like to play back. They like to, scale. And TSM normally do that as well, but I think we just be playing into their hands and putting ourselves at a disadvantage. I'm not saying we go super early comp, but what I am saying is we go mid-game comp, probably. Mid-game with some insurance for the late game should we need it. So there's... And truthfully, like, we could go mid and early comp as long as we go and we get the objectives. And as long as we get lucky and it's like an Inferno Drake or something like that. Infernal or... maybe Ocean. That would be great, to be completely honest. So that's what I would like to see out of TSM. I think that those are the 3 keys to victory. I think if we can do those, I think it should be a pretty easy win here. Here are my champions to watch for. Set. They've been playing a lot of Set top lane for Revenge. He's looked pretty good on it. I haven't seen TSM take Set yet. I don't really know why. I think Set can be very valuable in some of the comps even that we've played. He can soak up a lot of damage. He's good engage. I don't know. I know that he's not like the best pick in some situations, but I'd love to see somebody like Huni playing Set. Honestly, like I think he'd be really good on him, and I think you can build him multiple different ways. I think there's just a lot to do with him. So if TSM have been learning some stuff by watching IMT games, Set's a good pick for them. So either ban it or potentially pick it. 80 mids. Insanity has literally played 4 or 5 of their 6 games on an 80 mid laner. The other game, I think he played Orianna, if I remember correctly. So Jace has been a good pick for them. Tristana, Lucian, they play all those champions. We have seen that the meta does not love those champions if you can get something like a LeBlanc or something on them. I think LeBlanc is important. The fact that she's a ranged AP assassin that has insane burst potential is just crazy to me. I really think that, if he's going to focus 80 mids, that's where we take our advantages there. And we will see them. I'm very convinced that they've been kind of wanting Insanity to play those games. Sorry, it's 4 out of 5 games. I forgot. He didn't play. Pretty played the one game. And then Hook Champions in the bot lane. Thresh, Nautilus, Leona. Not only do we play especially a lot of the Leona, but Thresh has been pretty good for them. Nautilus is still strong as he has been, so picking a champion like that would not surprise me whatsoever. I think that, I think we should just not only expect it. I'm not doing a cop-out, like it is something that they use a lot, but I do think it's going to be a focus. I don't think we're going to see a Kog'Maw Lulu out of them, at least in terms of the bot lane, and I would kind of hope that we don't see it for us, but what do I know? Again, that Senatom Kench looked good, but I think if we're going for dive, if we're going for engage, I think Thresh's, Nautilus's, Leona's, at least for us, are great, and I should expect, we should expect to see Destiny pick them as well. So overall, I am picking a dub for TSM against Immortals. I think that they're just not as great of a team. I know they looked good in week 1. I really don't think that they played anybody who I mean, they did beat 100 Thieves in the first game, but I think 100 Thieves kind of were still figuring some things out as their first game with Abadage. I kind of chalked that up to meh, because then their next 2 wins were against Golden Guardians and CLG, somebody who everybody should beat. We have beaten them twice already, and it's just those are games that teams should win handily, in my opinion. Anyways, moving on. Dignitas Quantum Pay. I'll say theirs because for some reason they say it on the broadcast, even though nobody else does. I know it's supposed to be, but it's just like, meh, whatever. Anywho, first key. Bot lane is by far and away their strongest position. We have to just keep the pressure on it. That's nothing against Fake God, nothing against Saligo or Yusui. Whoever plays there, and then Dardoch has his moments, no doubt, but the Neo Aphromu combo has become easily one of the best in the LCS. I think when Neo is given the opportunity to carry and actually just get the focus of the game, he reminds me a lot of FBI in the way that he is enough to carry his team to victory. In terms of if they literally just build a comp centered around Neo being the guy, the one to get all of the attention. I mean, he's already proving it. He's playing well yet again, and I cannot stress this enough. Like, I really liked when he was, I think it was Asta was his name, or Astra. Back when he was on Optic, now Immortals, but he was actually he looked good, he looked comfortable. I don't really understand why he didn't get more of a chance. I don't know if there was something else going on, but now that he has finally gotten his chance this year, I think he is solidifying himself as one of the better bot laners in the LCS. I think there could be an argument that he is the second best bot laner in the LCS currently. I mean, the kid just pops off, and he's confident, and he just, I'm impressed with him. I really am, and I think it's sad that we will probably, I don't know, we're gonna just have to deal with him for a while. I mean, he's only 21 years old. Lordy, I did not realize that. This kid came up initially when he was 18. I mean, he wasn't even on an academy team in 2020 for a good amount of 2020, half of 2020. He wasn't even on an academy team, guys. Good Lord. I don't know, and he's an NA resident, so it's just like he's a good player, and I think that if we can minimize his impact in the game in terms of just continuously push him into tower, have PoE come down, have TPs from Huni, whatever it is. If we just kill him and take him out of the game, I don't think that anybody else, Fake God's not going to carry them to a win. Yusui, because I think that's who's going to probably play, is not going to carry them to a win. And Dardoch can carry them to a win, but if he's having to respond to bot lane pressure the entire game, then I think that allows us to be able to do damage. And I think that that's where, again, we're going to see LeBlanc, because that heads into my third or to my second key of the game. Power of Evil has to take advantage of Yusui specifically. Soligo's not as much. Soligo can definitely hold the lane, but Yusui's still young in terms of being new. He doesn't have much stage experience. Power of Evil's not even arguably anymore one of the best, if not the best, mid laner in the LCS. Obviously, that is biased in my opinion. I just think, I don't know. He's probably not. I think Perks probably still is. But I think he's better than Jensen. That's for sure. I still believe that to this day. But I think he has to, he is key to victory. He has to make Yasui's life miserable because, again, then it spreads, right? Like, then he can have pressure in the bot lane. Dardoch has to respond to mid lane or bot lane. He's not able to get his advantages where he likes to. You know they're going to try to play aggressively through Dardoch. And mid lane's the best place to do it. And if Power of Evil has control of the mid lane, 20 CS up, maybe a kill or two, roaming somewhere, hopefully, a 1v1 would be nice too, then I think that's really crucial for us because, again, like I said, then it allows for Spica to focus on the bot lane because we know, regardless of Huni dying like 3 times in the top lane, as long as it's not all on the same champion, or preferably any hyper carry from Dardoch or from Fake God, then they can win the game just simply through shutting down Neo at that point. And Yusui's not going to be somebody who I'm particularly afraid of. Maybe I'll eat those words, but so far he hasn't shown anything like that. So I really want to see us just take it to him in that lane specifically, to allow for that pressure to spread into the bot lane. That's what I would like. Number 3 is just ignore jungle bans. There's no freaking point because, truthfully, Dardoch is just going to play whatever he wants to. And he's good enough to where he can play just about anything, and it worked to a certain degree. The Darius jungle was obviously stupid, but he has a couple of those every split where he'll play some stupid champion and it just doesn't work. And he's just somebody who he's one of the very rare players in the LCS who just goes off a feel in terms of being able to play whatever champion he's feeling that day, allowing it to help the team. So, for me, spending any jungle bans would just be a waste. There's just no point. And against this team, they play a lot of different champions, all of them. There's not really a huge consistency of champions. They kind of just play what they're feeling. And so for me, I would just ban whatever's OP. Or whatever, like TSM come in and they're like, hey, this is the comp we're playing today. These are the champions we don't want to see. And I think that's how you win. I seriously do, because there's no point in trying to ban. It's like trying to punch water. You're not gonna do anything. Like, it might send a ripple, but that's it. You're not gonna do anything when the other team has a champion ocean or even just a champion lake. Even a pool, for God's sakes. I don't care. Like, you punch it, it's not going to do anything. And they truly have a lot of champions that they can play. They're not always good on all of them, but they will play whatever is available to them and whatever they're feeling, whatever they think might work that day. And so for TSM, you just get rid of things like the Gwen, like, I don't know, the Viego, if you're really feeling like that's going to hurt your comp. Silas, I would love to see more Silas bans. I don't know if you see he plays Silence, but God, I can't stand that champion against us, and we don't play it. Akali would be nice too. You'll get rid of that crap because we definitely don't seem to play Akali. I would love to hear that PoE and Huni have been just spamming Akali games all week, but I know they haven't. I should say I don't know, but there's a gut instinct that's like, nah, they're not. So, yeah, I want to see them just ban the OPs. That's it. I think those are the keys to victory against Dignitas. So, champions to watch for. Lee Sin. They have played a good amount of Lee Sin. Dardoch's a great Lee Sin. I think you just probably ban it, to be honest, but you could leave it up and take the risk. That's the one champion, I guess I should say, that they do play that is meta right now. That you know that they will make plays on. So just get rid of it. I think LeBlanc, seriously, again, I think in this specific game, she is going to be very important just due to the fact that I think PoE is comfortable on her. Assassins are good right now. That's a great champion to put pressure on Yusui for a multitude of reasons. LeBlanc adds a lot to the game for us specifically. I would love to see it. And then just watch for some random jungle champion. I'm not kidding. This is not a cop-out either. I thought about this a lot last night while I was making, my notes, and I was just like, is there anything that I can think of that Dardoch is going to play? The only things that came to mind are Trundle, which we have seen already, and then Amumu. Amumu is not terrible right now. He still has a lot of ability if he can get through the early game and get to level 6 to be very impactful in the game, especially at low elos. I've been kind of honestly just farming him for wins right now at my silver elo in jungle. So, I think just banning or just be prepared for some random champion. It just seems like such a Dardoch thing to do, and it would not surprise me in the least bit to see him do it. So, yeah. I am predicting a Dignitas loss, a TSM win here. I just think that we're better than them right now. And it's pretty easy when a team only has one champion or one player that's really, really good. And it's not like 100 Thieves of the past where, Huhi, Closer, and Someday, and, whoever was playing mid. But those three specifically, like they're better than what Dignitas have. Just plain and simple. And I know Aframu's great, but I think he works better with FBI. I think, I don't know, actually. I don't know about that one. But at least the Dardoch Closer thing, I think Closer's better right now, and I do think that Someday is still better than Fake God. So they're able to still do some other things. Someday can still carry a game if you focus FBI. I just don't think that happens with Dignitas. I think as long as you don't dive stupidly, as long sometimes it's just, hey, you don't have to get the kill, just don't let him CS and take the tower, and then just keep going down there. Don't let him farm his way back into the game. I think I just think there's a very clear path to victory for TSM against Dignitas. So that's what I got there. Now on to Cloud9. All right, there are two champions that they are really good on right now. And Lee Sin No is not one of them. So far, this split, it has been Gwen and Xin Zhao. Now, Fudge had a pretty okay game in one of the 3 games with Gwen, but she's just strong in general. Fudge looks really good now. He talked a lot of trash at the beginning of the year. I didn't think he was very good. He didn't play very well. He's kind of acclimated himself now, and he truly is one of the best top laners in the LCS, if not the best right now with Alfari gone. So just don't give him his champion that he's been stomping on. And not only she's OP, and he's playing her well. So just get rid of her. Just be gone. Be gone. And Xin Zhao, he's strong right now. If TSM aren't going to play him, get rid of him. Just don't let those two get these champions that they're 3-0 on. It makes no sense to do that. 0. I mean, seriously, it's just that's like what kind of ego check do you need to be able to be like, hey, we're gonna just give it to him, just so that we can beat him. Yeah, that's gonna make us feel a lot better. No, thank you. I do expect there to be a battle for LeBlanc. Perks likes her. My goodness, sorry. Crazy yawn right there. But yeah, I mean, don't give her. I think she might get banned. I think by this point, especially if TSM have played her twice, and she's looked good and they've won 2 games on it, I expect that Cloud9 will probably ban it, similar to how the Azir ban became a thing for TSM and for Power of Evil specifically. But if she's in the meta, like, I expect TSM to probably just continuously pick her, and I know that C9 are good on her, so they might try to pick her as well. So TSM should be prepared for a battle for her and be prepared to play against her if necessary. I will say this, though, to continue this second point. If she is not available, then Power of Evil has to get counterpick here. There's just too many champions that Perks plays that he is good at that TSM, like, they'd be at such a disadvantage for Power of Evil. Even the LeBlanc pick early scares me a little bit. Like, it's not that I don't believe in Power of Evil to be able to play against Perks. That's not what it is. It's just that this meta is way better for Perks right now. And so, unless if PoE is going to pull out a random Silas or an Akali, like something that's pretty strong and a little bit harder to counterpick to a certain degree. Obviously, I know they have their counterpicks, and there are some that are in the meta specifically for Akali, but I just think it's just better for TSM to save counterpick if they can't get LeBlanc. Just straight up. That's just how that is the way that I think that they win, and I think that is the way that they will need to be able to pull something out of their hat if necessary. And Power of Evil, and God, if it's gonna be counterpick, please, for the love of God, no Lucian. Just no. I'm sorry. He's not a bad Lucian. He just doesn't translate his leads. We talked about this on Monday. I don't want to see it this week. Too many important games for them to be screwing around with something like that. Give him Orianna, give him LeBlanc, or give him Victor. I don't really care which one of the three. Depending on the matchup, either three are fine. But just, that's it. Nothing else. Obviously, he can play other things. I hope he's been working on Akali or Silas. Please, God, let him be working on Akali or Silas. I'm sorry. I love PoE. I think he's so freaking good. This meta scares the crap out of me with him, and we've already seen it not be advantageous for him. So I just want to see him. I want to see our boy succeed. Give him the counter pick, for God's sakes. Anyways, I think this is gonna sound stupid, but just make the solo lanes useless or just non-eventful. Okay, meaning like just keep Fudge and Perks out of as many fights as you can, and let Spica, Lost, and Sword Art do the heavy lifting. Okay, King still has the ability to be picked on. Vulcan will make mistakes. He's a great support. He's probably the best support in NA. I think there's an argument that can be made for that. That said, he is prone to make mistakes when the rest of his team are not able to follow up. And I think if Power of Evil and Huni can just keep Fudge and Perks somewhere else, or just keep them under tower, then I think that Spica, Lost, and Sword Art can be the ones to get the advantage going into the mid game and give TSM the opportunity to do what they do best, which is team fight. And if they can team fight at an advantage from the bot lane, and Spica and Lost can just kind of do their thing with Sword Art being able to engage and have an impact in a major way, then I think that it will help TSM a lot. I think it'll be our best chance at winning. Truly. All right, here are my champions to watch for. First one, Gwen. Like I said, don't want to see her unless if Huni is going to randomly pull her out because he's been playing her like crazy. You can't give it to Fudge either way. But I do expect that she will either be banned right away or first picked. So be watching for her. Again, LeBlanc, battle for her. Don't need to go into that. Xin Zhao, we talked about with Blabber, but Spica plays it pretty well too. We saw it last week, especially in Game 3. So I would really like to see TSM look at Xin Zhao less as a ban and more as an early pick, especially if they're not going to get Udyr, which teams are just not giving Spica Udyr right now. So yay. The last one, and I normally only do 3, but the last one is Lulu Kog'Maw. Those two specifically. That combo is just so deadly right now. I don't know what you do about it, but I don't think you just give it. They're just too strong. Lulu's really, really powerful right now too. Like if I'm TSM and we have first pick, so that means that we are on blue side. Here's the way that I would do champion select. You ban Gwen, you ban Lulu, Then you see what else is OP that you get that you need to ban for your third one. You first pick the LeBlanc or the Xin Zhao. Okay? Especially if they don't ban it. And if both are available, I honestly would probably just take LeBlanc. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know, but that's what I'd be looking at. So that's how I would start the draft at least, and then you kind of let things play out as they play out. But that's the kind of stuff. Because unless if Perks is going to bring out something like the Lysandra, which I could see him doing, I don't think there's a lot that we have to be overly worried about with LeBlanc. You know, she could get pushed in by a Lucian, but who cares? Like, I know that she's better when she's able to roam, but by the time she hits level 4, level 5, she can trade into Lucian very, very easily. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for right now. That said, I am predicting a loss here for TSM against Cloud9. I just think Cloud9 look pretty strong right now, and after last week's games, at least according to Spica, we're still trying to figure out the meta. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than that to figure out the meta than a week. So, you know, if there's any indication that, you know, a TSM had figured out the meta earlier, I'd love somebody to let me know. But I'm not overly confident, and I think the first 2 games would be good warm-ups, and I think the C9 game will be close, but I'm not overly confident in their ability to beat them this time around. That said, a 3-0 week would be awesome, because my overall thoughts for this are it's a huge week for TSM, guys. And I hate to put an emphasis on week 3 of 9, but there are some pretty big things at play here. And I prefaced them at the beginning of the podcast. The first part of it is that, like, these teams are pretty good. Even Immortals has their good days and their good weeks. I am afraid that they are coin flipping heads this week, and that they are going to truly be a flip-flop team, and it's going to make that game a lot harder than it probably needs to be. So there's a little worry for me there. You know, and getting that first win against Dignitas matters, like, a lot. I cannot describe to you guys how important that is, because, you know, they're only 2 games behind us right now. And they are one of 2 teams that we have a losing record against. Now, we talked about this last week, or on Monday. Losing the FlyQuest is not that big of a deal, because they are 7 games back. And yeah, they hold the tiebreaker over us, but it probably won't matter. Dignitas, on the other hand, does have a 2-0 over us. Okay? And we have to sweep them. We have to win all 3 games against them this split to guarantee that we have the tiebreaker over them. And guys, with the standings this close, with the top 5 teams being within 3 games of each other, okay? And even Evil Geniuses being within 5 games, like with how many more games we got? 21 more games left this week, or this year, this split. Yeah, both year and split. That is ground that can be made up. And especially when we're only 4 games above Evil Geniuses, which I think we have the guarantee. No, we're still only 2-1 against them. You know, the more tiebreakers that we can get, the better. Okay? Right now, we only need 1 of our 2 wins over 100 Thieves to guarantee a tiebreaker. Okay? So we just need to win 1 of the next 2 games against them, guarantee tiebreaker against them. Against Cloud9, if we can win this week, that is huge, because similarly to 100 Thieves, then we only have to win 1 of the next 2 games against Cloud9 to guarantee a tiebreaker over them. Not that we'll need against CLG, we got tiebreaker over them. Dignitas, again, we have to win all 3 games against them this split to have the tiebreaker over them. I really don't want to be in a position to where somehow they've clawed their way up to 3rd, we're sitting there in 2nd, and we flip-flop with them because we lose some random game to Golden Guardians, and then, you know, we get 3rd and we don't get that bye week to start. We don't get that automatic bye week in a double elimination tournament. Guys, it's just so important. These are things we have to think about now. We have to understand these things. And, until we play Dignitas again, it's not going to matter as much. Some of these games won't be as important. Like, we get a win over Immortals. We got their 3-2 over them. Totally cool. Right? We have the 3-0 over Golden Guardians. Again, unless if they make a miraculous run. I mean, like, they win every game starting Friday to the end of the split. They're not going to make the playoffs. Okay? It's just not going to happen. So, luckily we do have the 3-0 over TL. That first win, big time dub. We can lose the next two against TL, and we have the tiebreaker over them. Doesn't really matter. Evil Geniuses were one game away from the tiebreaker over them, which is important too. So, if we can win, one of these next two games against 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses, that's great. If we could, we need to try to win two of the next three against Cloud9, and we have to win 3 of 3 against Dignitas. We do all of that, we are set, guys. We are set because we will be able to beat CLGs, and I think we'll figure out FlyQuest hopefully by the end of this year, and we'll get our wins against Golden Guardians. And that's 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that means we need to go 11-10 over these next couple weeks. And if we beat all the rest of these teams, that gets us up to 27-18, which is a pretty good record. I would love to see us closer to like 14, 15 losses. But hey, that's okay. It's just because if we can do that, then we have tiebreakers over everybody, and we're kind of set. Seriously, like we can kind of feel very comfortable. I mean, especially if we only lose like 5 more games this whole split, and none of them are to those teams that I just mentioned, or at least none of them are, or even if it's one, like, if we can afford to lose 1 to 100 Thieves, 1 to Cloud9, we can actually afford to lose 2 to TL and be fine, and, we can drop a game to Evil Geniuses even. There's your 5 losses. If those are your 5 losses for the rest of the split, and we win the rest of our games, we're sitting in first place most likely. I would venture to guess that we will probably sit in first place. And that's why this week's important, guys. I know it's a lot of information to just talk at you. I would suggest going to like lol.fandom.com or something. Look at the records against these other teams and just make sure that we're watching it, because it is going to be really, really, really important going forward. Which teams do we have advantages of, which teams have advantages over us. And to me, like, a 3-0 weekend this weekend would be amazing, because it almost guarantees us. It guarantees us if we 3-0 this weekend, we are guaranteed at least tied for first place. Okay? In terms of like overall games, because that would, if Cloud9 goes 2-1 with their 1 loss against us, they're 19-8. Even if 100 Thieves goes 3-0, they're 19-8, and we're 19-8. And guess what? Again, tiebreakers. We got the 2-1 over Cloud9 at that point. We got the 2-1 over 100 Thieves at that point. Bada bing, bada boom. We are in first place if the season ends at that point. I'm not predicting a 3-0 this weekend. We're gonna need to beat Cloud9, I think, later on in the season, hopefully with a new meta, or hopefully with a better understanding of the meta for ourselves. But that said, if we can pull out that 3-0 weekend, oh man, Monday's episode is going to be hype, guys. It's going to be real exciting, and I think you guys should be prepped for it. If you're superstitious at all, and you have rabbit's feet, or you have, I don't know, some weird ritual that you do before every game, do it before every game if you can. Like, again, I hate saying that this is an important week, but we specifically, like, even if we went 1-2 this weekend, we have to beat Dignitas. That is, if we are praying to the League of Legends gods right now, that is the one game we cannot afford to lose this weekend. Okay? We can't afford to lose the other two. Like, it's not going to kill our chances in terms of a top 2 seed, which is ultimately what we want going into playoffs. But at a minimum, we need a 1-2 weekend with a win against Dignitas. That is Saturday's game is the most crucial game of the weekend. So get your mind set for that. Be ready, and let's get ready to go, guys. I'm excited. I really am. If you can't tell, I'm hyped right now. A lot of good stuff going on. And I haven't even had my first full thing of caffeine so far today. So this is just me being pumped. So moving on. Last couple things here. First one, Academy went 2-2. Takeover did come in and start the IMT series. We also played, I want to say it was FlyQuest, if I remember correctly. It's surprising to see Takeover put in for Sword. Sword has not looked great this season. I think part of it is because the meta doesn't suit him as well as it does Takeover. I think that was kind of the point to start him. Takeover had a very, very good game, but then he played Yone. Okay, so Sword had a good game too, by the way. But Sword played Set in the mid lane, which makes me hopeful to think the TSM will play Set somewhere. Oh, that'd be great. But either way, played Set in the mid lane, clearly not his style champion, did not have a good game on it. Sword is still very young. I'm not overly worried about Sword. Takeover comes in. He plays a great game, and then he plays this Yone that goes 0-1-0. I mean, just literally nothing. I mean, if you're playing Yone, you got to do more than that. You got to be involved in something. Like, even if you're dying, that at least means you're taking risks. So, yes, I love this great game from Takeover, but I would actually target that Yone game as the worst game of the weekend for our mid laners, because on a champion like that, like, Set's going to die at times. But that means at least he's going in, he's trying to help his teammates, all that kind of stuff. But the Yone just kind of doing there nothing and just sitting there, that's not going to get it done, fam. That's just not going to get it done. So, both of them had good games. Both of them had good games in the wins. I think that they are pretty crucial. The mid lane is pretty crucial to Academy's success right now. Weirdly enough, it's not Hanser or Cody Sun, although they try to carry so hard sometimes. But it's just not enough. And I do wonder if Hanser, the more and more I watch and see all this stuff with Hanser, I just have this distinct feeling that Hanser is a TSMer for life at this point, and that he's just going to kind of transition his way into being a coach at some point. That is just the way it's looking to me. I think he might try to give it one more chance this year, but, with somebody else, I don't really see him taking over for Hooney unless things get really bad with Hooney, which even his really bad lately has still had impact in games. We've seen the Gnar games where he kind of just tilts. He'll be 0-2 or 0-3, but then he comes in with big ultimates, even in losing efforts, and is able to make plays for them. We haven't seen like the full Hooney tilt, knock on wood, yet. And so it's going to be interesting. I really want to watch what they do with Hanser. And I think you all should be watching it too, because I think we're starting to see our headband bro getting ready for a coaching gig / a more important role with TSM. And considering what they did with Bjergsen, it wouldn't surprise me to see him join the staff in some way, shape, or form with TSM. They love him. I'm sure he loves TSM. So it'd be pretty cool to see. Lastly, Amateur, again, they don't play for a while. They brought in Frost Forest, who played with Doxa at, oh God, I can't remember what university it is, but played with him in the collegiate series. I don't know what happened with Infectrix. I haven't had a chance to look it up. It's not like the end of the world to lose somebody in Amateur. This kind of stuff happens pretty often, to be completely honest. Again, I think Don Bray is still the future player that we really need to keep our focus on. He is the youngest. He is the one who's climbed the fastest. The kid's a certifiable stud, at least at his level, and will continue to get better in the team atmosphere. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what to say about Frost Forest coming in and what's going on with Infectrix. The one thing is Frost Forest and Doxa are going to have good synergy. Maybe they're feeling like after their last tournament where they just did not play well together, they didn't feel like trying to grind it out, which would be concerning to me, to be honest, because the whole point of Amateur is to just kind of get better together kind of a thing and figure it out and try to give these guys opportunities. So maybe they just want to give Frost Forest an opportunity. Maybe Doxa just pushed Infectrix out. Maybe Infectrix left on his own. I don't know. I've not gotten a chance to look into it, really, to be completely honest with you. I just know it happened, and people are a little concernicus about it. So we'll have to see what happens there. Hopefully in their next tournament, which should be coming up soon, they will be able to perform better. Whew. That was a lot. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Let's continue to make this a great podcast, probably the number one TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. If you feel so inclined, please leave a review. I seriously appreciate it. Share this with your friends, guys. Like, really, please. I'd love to get the viewership up, the listeners up on this. If you know somebody who's a TSM fan, it would be extremely appreciated to me if you guys would do that. Just please, you can hit me up at TGH Robert Haynes or the Gamehouse's Twitter account, TGH Esports. Before I head into the last lead, let's go TSM. Come on, guys. Like, let's really push for it this weekend. Let's really, really do our best to support the boys. I know that it may not matter, but I think, just tweet at them, support them, tell them, hey, guys, like, big weekend ahead for you. Let's get it. We know it's just the beginning of the season. It's still just the first round robin, but we believe in you. Like, let's just freaking go get them. Head to thegamehouse.com for more LCS and TSM content. I will have something coming out today or tomorrow for TSM's games this weekend. Go give it a look. And with that, thanks for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and Thursday, and it's still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See y'all next week.